welcome back, y'all. So today we're going to go over what I watched in the month of February of 2025. Now, I know we've had a lot of shit go on in this month right now. We're just going to keep it moving, keep it pushing. I can't get over the fact that our president and vice president yelled at another country's leader. Anyway, that's a whole thing. But you know what? I did watch some movies this month, and that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So let's start at the beginning of the month. So I think I said this last month or maybe in January. I don't remember, but. Or yeah, I guess I said something, but I said, I watched Final Destination 4, of course. So I wanted to finish watching Final Destination 5 to finish out the series because I hadn't seen it. And so that's exactly what I did. So Final Destination 5 was the first movie I watched. So this is about, again, it's a Final Destination movie, and it is the fifth one of the series. So it's the last one that came out. We now have the Bloodlines one coming out this year, which I will probably be pulled up for. And I will probably go see it, honestly. But this one, it takes place where these people almost die on a bridge accident, and then death is coming to beat their ass pretty much. You know what it is. That's what it is. And then, of course, there's a twist in this at the end that kind of ties back to the first movie. If you know, you know. But this has, I gave this a 4 and a heart. I really liked this one personally. Especially since I didn't really like the fourth one. But I thought the fifth one was pretty good. It has Nick D'Augusto in it from Election and other movies and stuff that he's done. But this is kind of a big role for him because he leads it. But then Emma Bell's here from Frozen and a couple different things. I really enjoyed it. And I also just put in my Letterboxd review, I said R.I.P. Tony Todd, of course, because he is in this movie. He's probably also going to be in this Bloodlines movie, I think. I think they did it before he actually passed away. So but that's what I watched was Final Destination 5. Then the next thing I watched was actually a kind of foray into a certain director's filmography. I don't think I've really seen any of his movies. I decided to start on my Osgood Perkins journey, and I watched The Black Goat's Daughter from 2015. So this movie, if you don't know what it is, it's his first movie, I think, that ever he did. This is about two young women, one played by Kieran Shipka from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and Mad Men and stuff, and then Emma Roberts, and actually Lucy Boynton's in here too. So two women at a prestigious prep school, but then Emma Roberts is there too, but she comes in later in the story a little bit. Pretty much there's this evil thing that is at their school over winter break, and it gets into a bunch of weird shit after that. I liked this personally. I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I thought it was a good time. I personally think Kieran Shipka is kind of a star, honestly. Obviously, she had her own show on Netflix, and yeah, but even just seeing her, because I've been watching Mad Men a little bit as well. Oh, by the way, my sister donated me some stuff because she was getting rid of some of her movie collection. I know, right? I told you she has a big movie collection. Well, she's downsizing it now, which is fine. But because she had so many. So anyway, I got a bunch of movies from her, which was great. So I was able to add to those. And guess what? I got Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, the whole series on DVD. I could do anything. But yes, that's what I got actually. Just literally yesterday. So it closed out the month for me. But yeah, no, back to The Black Coat's Daughter. Yeah, I liked this movie personally. I know it's not for everybody, but I did generally enjoy it. I haven't seen Longlegs. I haven't watched The Monkey or anything, or I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House or whatever. But I do want to try to watch some of his stuff because who knows, he might be the dude for me. I don't know, or I don't mind his styling of what he does. And I mean, it's the guy from Legally Blonde. Why not? I'm interested. And he's Anthony Perkins' son. Why the hell not? Anyway, so the next thing I watched was actually a release from, I guess, last year, but it just became available on VOD. And it's actually from a horror journalist, editor-in-chief of Dread Central, Mary Beth McAndrews, who's also a Maryland girl. Hey, girl. She just did a movie called Bystanders from, like I said, 2024, and they went and, were premiering this around different little film festivals and stuff. But Bystanders is but you can rent it on like Apple TV and a couple different other places. And yeah, this is like it's a rape revenge movie because for those who may not know, check out Mary Beth, on her podcast Scarred for Life with Terry Menard and her, where they talk to different people about like the movie that scarred them for life kind of a thing, with their guests that they have. But one of the things is that if you know who Mary Beth is, you know that she's very much into kind of analyzing like rape revenge films in general. Literally went and did like her master's in it and stuff, like, so it's really cool. And just getting to see that and getting to see how she analyzes that as somebody, and also just as like kind of a horror journalist figure, if you will, especially being somebody who is literally the editor-in-chief of a very big publication. But this is a first feature for her. But in my opinion, though, I think like this particularly like did a pretty decent job at making a rape revenge film. It's not your typical run-of-the-mill example of that genre. For those who may not know, so this is about a girl. Her name's Abby, and her friends, they go to a frat party in a cabin, like, with these guys. It turns to a nightmare when they're drugged, they're assaulted, and then they are kind of hunted for sport and like almost get killed off like Most Dangerous Game style. Anyway, Abby happens upon this like mysterious couple, and some shit goes down from there. The writer of this movie actually plays the character of Claire, who's one of the couple, and this guy Garrett Murphy, he plays Gray, who's the guy in the couple. It's a woman and man. But yeah, I just thought like this was a perfectly fine film. Is it the most perfect film in the world? I don't think so, but I don't think it's like terrible. I oscillate between the 3 that I gave it and a 2.5 kind of, but I mean, again, it's low budget filmmaking. I'm pretty sure that Mary Beth said that she had a little less than $100,000 to make this, so the fact that they were even able to do anything with that is pretty good. And yeah, I thought it was perfectly fine. So especially if you are a fan of what Mary Beth does, I would definitely check it out. If you like rape revenge movies, or if you kind of, like watching that kind of, I know not everyone likes kind of watching that movie, but for some people it can be very cathartic, or it's just a matter of like, you see, especially a woman, like being able to kind of rise above, and kill her rapists and stuff. I would check it out. Why not? I love the guy playing Gray in this film too, Garrett Murphy. He is such a fucking star. I think they did a lot of this in Kentucky, and a lot of these people may have come out of like partly the Midwest, like Ohio and like stuff like that. But God, he was. I really liked his character personally. He's not bad to look at, first off, but also I just thought like he played unhinged very well. I think both him and the character of Claire did pretty decent at that. But yeah, and a lot of these people, it's their first time acting, so I'm not expecting like. For me, like if it's a lower budget thing, I'm not expecting like all these amazing things, but I'm more so interested in a story that is at least somewhat interesting and engaging. If this was boring, I would have told you this is just really, really boring. There's parts of it that maybe, I don't know, that it's not gonna work for everybody, but I would check this out personally. And it's just cool to see that, like Dread Central is a part of this as well. And just somebody was able to, I mean, the person who wrote this movie is in the movie, and they were even able to get it fucking made. And that's sometimes a miracle in itself in this, in that industry for sure. So anyway, let's move on with what I watched next. So I decided, because it was on Tubi, I watched a movie by the name of Dead Man's Curve from 1998. This is very much one of those like kind of post-Scream, but it's not a slasher completely. So this is about 2 roommates, one of whom is played by Matthew Lillard, my Lord and Savior, and the other one I think is played by Michael Vartan. I think that's him as well. So pretty much what happens is that these 2 roommates, they have a third roommate played by Randall Bakenhoff. His name's Rand. And anyway, they decide to plan to like kill their third roommate to take advantage of this policy where if your roommate commits suicide, so they're going to make it look like a suicide, you get a 4.0 for the semester. And that's kind of an old, urban legend, if you will, from like colleges and stuff like that. But yeah, this also has Kerry Russell in it. This is right around the time of Felicity. It was either right before it or something like that. We also have like Dana Delaney in here, which is fun. She's an actress, voiceover actress, was on the Batman animated series, and stuff like that. She was also in Mask of the Phantasm. That's what she did. But yeah, this was a I was gonna say this is a good time. No, it wasn't. Like I said, for me, like the things I'd let Matthew Lillard do to me. Oh God, I mean, I just thought he was like, he's always very attractive to me, especially at this time, like late '90s. I mean, for God's sakes, he still looks pretty good to this day. Honestly, but I mean, he's very much hot in this. And then there's like a lot of twists going on in this movie. But what I found out, because I looked it up, because I was like, okay, like what is this movie? And at first I was kind of like, that's weird. Like that looks a little familiar, perhaps. And then what I found out is that the guy who I think wrote this and also directed it, Dan Rosen. I'm gonna have to find him and bring him on the show, maybe. Who knows? But this is also shot all around Baltimore, which is where I live. Like he went to Towson University, which is right down the street from where I went to college. I went to a private school, but Towson is one of the ones I could have gone to, and like I kind of noticed, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think they also shot in maybe University of Maryland too, like down in College Park, which is the one everyone knows, or a lot of people know. That was a fun little fact I appreciated. And then they also went up to, funny enough, I think they went because if you have watched this movie, you know that a lighthouse is kind of central to the story a little bit. That lighthouse is actually in Harford County, Maryland, which is where I used to live. I didn't live in, it's in Cecil County. I didn't live up there, but I lived in Harford County. So maybe I was wrong, actually. It's not in Harford County, but it's up near there. Like, it's almost like we consider it like, I mean, Cecil County is its own county, but like Cecil and Harford County are very close. They're next to each other. So I just thought that was really interesting. I was like, because it almost reminded me of Havre de Grace, which is where they did a few different things, and I remember being up there before. But anyway, but like it reminded me of that a little bit. So the fact that I found out that I was like, oh, this was done in the Northeast Maryland area, like that makes sense. So I just thought it was kind of fun. So who knows? Maybe I gotta go find Dan Rosen and see what he's doing and ask him about Dead Man's Curve. But no, I did not really like that movie, to be honest. I gave it a 2. But if you want to watch a like post Scream horror movie that's kind of that, but not really, like, I don't know, go watch it. It might be interesting. You can go look at hot Matthew Lillard. That's always a nice thing. The next thing I watched was actually, I was able to watch this as a screener, because I get some of these, I get screeners sometimes. Just they say like, hey, this is coming out. Do you want to get a screener for it? And I'm like, yes, please. So I chose this one. It was called Body Odyssey from 2023. So this is about a woman named Mona, who's a bodybuilder, and she looks like a woman, but she's obsessed with like this unshapely ideal. Like she's a woman, but like she has a masculine type body, because we find that she does like steroids, and like she is just obsessed with being like this muscle woman or whatever. And she is, I don't know, it's just like it's this interesting body horror movie, but it's not like super body horror like in the traditional sense, but it's this woman's kind of obsession with wanting to maintain this body, but then also like she is kind of going a little bit insane herself a little bit. She becomes obsessed with this one guy who she meets at like, or they have an encounter in like a sauna or whatever. It's a younger guy. So it's just interesting. This is also one of Julian Sands, who's a very known actor. It's one of his last roles he ever did before he then disappeared. And then I think he has now spent in he's now been pronounced dead. But yeah, this is from I think an Italian lady who did this. Like she directed it. I like some of the older. Okay, so it's not TMI, but like I, as a gay man, like I tend to like older men. And so I liked some of the older muscle men in this movie because they do have some of these. So that was fun to see. I was like, oh, okay. It was an odd watch. This movie's fucking weird, but I was fascinated enough with it. And I was like, oh, okay, like why not watch this? It's just fucking weird. It's like not like your typical horror movie or anything by any means, but it's definitely like, it just gets fucking really weird. But I don't know. It's like a drama kind of, but like there's an unsettledness to it in my opinion. So yeah, that's what I watched. And I guess, thanks to get the screener, I guess. The next thing I watched was actually it's a Best Picture winner. I decided I wanted to watch some of the old Best Picture stuff, so I have a whole list of those on my phone where I want to like kind of watch those as time goes on. So you might notice that in my what I watched. But yeah, I decided to watch a little film from 1975 called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, I will say I did try to watch this at one point, and I only got through like the first 20 minutes. And then I was like, well, I have to like go and try to do it again. So anyway, this movie, if you don't already know, it's about this petty criminal played by Jack Nicholson. He fakes insanity to go into a mental hospital instead of going and staying in prison. He finds himself as like kind of a leader of these other patients, and he's this enemy to a very cruel, domineering nurse who kind of runs this ward, played by Louise Fletcher. And so then you have all these other people. You have Brad Dourif in this movie in his like literal first role. It literally is introducing Brad Dourif, which is crazy to me. But also you have like Cindy Lassick in here from Carrie and like Don't Tell My Babysitter's Dead. You have Christopher Lloyd is here. And also, who was the other one? Gosh, I can't remember. Oh my God. Danny DeVito, he's there. A couple different people, so it's interesting. But I just say just guys being guys, I did like this movie. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. I think it's very much like, if you've watched this and Girl Interrupted, they do feel a little bit similar, although obviously like the genders are swapped a little bit. And this movie has so much acclaim to it. And I do think it is worth a watch, especially if you're at all interested in watching like Oscar winner movies and things like that. Like, I just thought this was a really, it was an interesting piece of and I think this, again, my girl, Why the Book Wins. I watched her video on this where she talks about the movie and the book. And thankfully, I think this movie does improve upon the book because I don't think the book was a very good time, apparently. But anyway, but there's that. So then the next thing I watched, oh, buddy. So I watched, so the Oscars are tomorrow from when I'm recording this. And so I'll be watching that. So I decided to watch some of the nominated movies, the Best Picture winners and stuff like that, or the Best Picture nominees, I guess. And I decided to start off that by watching a movie. It's very infamous. It's Amelia Perez from 2024. For those who may not know, this is about a woman, Rita, played by Zoe Saldana. She's a lawyer working in a large law firm, and she is helping a leader of a criminal organization in Mexico, played by Carla Sofia Gascon, both pre and post transition. Pretty much, I mean, we all kind of so this movie is about like this person who wants to become a woman, but they are the literal leader of like a mob ring in like a drug ring in fucking Mexico, and so they become a woman, but she can't tell anybody about it. And Amelia Perez, and her name's Amelia Perez, and so Rita helps Amelia get like this surgery stuff and helps her do all this shit. And anyway, so that's the basic idea of this movie. I was not a fan of this at all. I thought the opening like little like title sequence was kind of a vibe, but that's not good enough to make it good. I think Zoe Saldana deserves better, which is funny because I think a lot of people think she's going to win for supporting, which is just unfortunate because why for this? Like, there's other things that she could win for, but what are we doing? And also, I'm not I don't know Selena Gomez as an actress like that. I haven't watched a ton of her movies. I don't think she was a great choice in this role personally. And then, obviously people have been pissed about Carla Sofia Gascon because she is a terrible person. And I'm just like, okay. For me though, like, I watched this on Netflix and I was like, this movie's fucking bad. Like, this is a musical, but the music sucks. It's just, there's so much to it. There's the treatment of just Mexico in general. This is done by a French dude, and I think he has no idea, no knowledge about anything having to do with Mexico. So that's unfortunate. The other thing too is that, like, I'm sorry, but like, this movie was not that good. I wouldn't waste your time with it personally. I don't know how it got this many award nominations. You're telling me May December by Todd Haynes got one nomination in the Oscars, but this movie can get like a bunch of them. Like, what? This is nominated for Best Picture. It's nominated for Best Picture. Make it make sense. This makes no sense to me. Trans people hate this. Mexican people hate this. So many fucking people hate this. But why did it get all those nominations? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, I really don't. Anyway, I'm just gonna get myself pissed off. So we're gonna move on, okay? Oh, I'm gonna get to another thing too, and you see if I care. The next thing I watched, because I did decide to get a movie subscription because I could get the like $2.99 like little deal or whatever. So, I decided to do that, but I decided to jump back on my Lars von Trier watching train. Okay. And so I decided to keep watching some of his movies, cause they do have a lot of his films on Mubi, if you didn't know. I watched Dogville from 2003. So this is a Lars von Trier movie. This is about, a lady by the name of Grace, played by Nicole Kidman. And she, arrives in this isolated township of Dogville where there's all these different like residents there, some of whom include Chloe Sevigny, also Lauren Bacall, Patricia Clarkson, Paul Bettany, which, if you don't know who he is, he's Vision from like WandaVision and like the Marvel movies. But yes, he did this. Stellan Skarsgård's here, Daddy Skarsgård. Yeah, so they're all different types of people, and that's all fun and well. So yeah, the small community decides to hide her from this gang of ruthless gangsters that are looking for her, and Grace is doing like these different odd jobs for people in town. And this movie is really fascinating because it is not your typical movie. It's set up like a play. It's set up like literally like there's the voiceover in it, which I think is John Hurt, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like set up like this is all done as a play, and we're almost on like this set. It's very much a set. It's not realism at all. And it is like 2.5 hours, but I just said feel bad cinema at its finest, because you find out kind of what happens in the end. I won't spoil it, but like there's just some shit going down, man, about Grace and her involvement and, with why she's running away. It's a whole thing. And then the ending is just bleak as hell. Very much known for Lars von Trier. So yeah, I gave it a 4 and a little heart. I didn't mind this movie. I was fascinated. And also you will find that I also had another Nicole Kidman movie on my list, but I am always a fucking fan of Nick, you know what I mean? But anyway, the next thing I watched was actually kind of a little prequel, kind of sort of. It is Reality Plus from 2014. This is Coralie Farjah's first short that she did. This is kind of this is the short that kind of inspired what the substance would end up being. This is about Vincent, this like young Parisian man. He's uncomfortable with his appearance, and he installs a brain chip in him called Reality Plus, and pretty much he's able to change his appearance for 12-hour intervals, and he uses this to like kind of move throughout the world. And he meets this young lady at a coffee shop, a very hot young lady. And yeah, I gave this a little 4 and a heart. It is on Mubi because, again, the substance is on Mubi as well because it was distributed by them. And yeah, I liked this little short. And it's just cool to watch it and then think about like, the fact that it would end up being what is it? It would end up being kind of what the substance is based off of, which I just thought was cool. So yeah, go check that out if you have a movie subscription. You may be able to find it other places too. I don't really know, but yeah, go check it. I liked it personally. So here's the next thing I watched. So, okay. I decided, I think if you've listened to these podcasts of what I watched, you may know that I've said something about how I wouldn't want to watch a movie called The Forest Hills. I think I may have mentioned that before. And well, I broke my own promise because this movie, The Forest Hills from 2024, it ended up being on Tubi. And so I was like, okay, like let me go and watch this. So this movie is about 82 minutes. This movie has kind of the unfortunate thing of being Shelley Duvall's last film before she ended up passing away. And I'll get into this, but like, this is about a guy, Rico. He is tormented by these nightmarish visions after enduring head trauma, while camping in the Catskill Mountains, therefore, I think being called the Forest Hills. And this is set in New York, I think. So Billy, this other guy who I think might be played by Edward Furlong, I don't remember. And this is like a werewolf story, personally. So, okay, so I will say the director of this film and the film's page actually followed my page for a while, and the Forest Hills page was also following us as well, or following my show. And then after I found out a few things, so I was looking on Letterboxd, for example, and I, saw some of the, I saw some of the other people who had maybe some negative experiences with this. I really didn't want to say much about it, but I decided to say it on Letterboxd, so who fucking cares? What I found out was that this director, Scott Goldberg, he was sliding into like critics like comments, some of their DMs, and like straight up like emailing critics, because this premiered at Salem Horror Fest, I believe, and then some other shit happened anyway. But this was what this person was doing was like contradicting their critiques, not really taking the critique in stride. I will say also, I think it was Justin Nordell, and I'm not saying anything bad. I'm literally, he put this on Letterboxd, where saying that asking, he was even saying that like Scott was asking people to change their poor reviews for this movie, and like I don't stand for that shit. And like once I saw that and I heard about it, I also heard it on Blerdy Massacre, because that was the worst film that they saw in 2023, I think it was, or something, or was it 2024? I don't remember. But anyway, like they had seen this. I think Zero had seen it at Salem Horror Fest and whatever. But anyway, regardless of all that, I did not really care for that, and I decided to block both those pages. I also told a friend of mine who has a large following to also block their page as well, and I was really just kind of telling other folks like, hey, there's this, like, maybe don't support it. And that might be petty, and I don't really, okay, fine. Again, I'm not really, and I was having this conversation just with other people. I was trying to figure, but like I just don't think it was a positive experience for a couple different people who also interacted with this filmmaker and with this person. I just didn't really care for that, because I don't think that's how a filmmaker should act. You should not be like, and I think he also responded to my to my post, and that's fine. You can go look for it if you want to. But yeah, I watched this movie on Tubi, and it was kind of a waste of an hour and 18 minutes. I don't really know why this is a werewolf movie. It's kind of about head trauma a little bit, like, and kind of the perils of that. I didn't think it was really all that interesting. I think the director really just used however much of a budget he had getting these quote cameos from people, because you have Dee Wallace, Felissa Rose, like I said, Shelley Duvall, Edward Furlong, different people like that getting, you know, cameos, quote unquote, from royal royalty. But just because you put people in your movie similar to like Red Christmas, just because you put Dee Wallace in it does not mean it is going to be good. Okay. You know, just because you put these people in here, it just means you're giving actors work. It doesn't mean your movie's going to be that good. I personally wouldn't watch this movie again, and I wouldn't support anything that Scott will do in the future. He also, there's like a whole like backstage, it was behind the scenes documentary that was done during the filming of this, where it followed Edward Furlong. As well. And then also like they had Kevin Smith speak at the premiere that they had in New York, in like one of the areas of New York that they did. So that was a whole thing. I don't know. Again, you can go look at my review on Letterboxd and see his response. I'm not really going to read it here. But yeah, that was my little drama I had this month. And I don't really have drama like that personally, but it wasn't even really much drama, but I just was like, it was not for me, babes. But you know what, it's funny, you know what it is that, you know, I don't want to just like talk shit about your film and not have watched it necessarily. Like, do I want to watch The Crow 2024? Not really, but I mean, I'm probably not watching that shit personally, because I don't think I would want to, because what are we even doing? But okay. But in this situation, like, I'm sorry, but, you know, this director can say what he wants, or, you know, say I'm spreading misinformation or whatever it is, but ultimately I don't think that a bunch of people have the same experience for no reason, kind of a thing. So that's the way I look at it personally. If a lot of different people are also saying that the same sort of thing happened, girl, the calls are coming from inside the house, mama. You know what I mean? So there's that, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on to happier things, or maybe happier things, question mark. I don't know. I watched, it is nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Kieran Culkin. I watched A Real Pain because it was on Hulu, or it still is on Hulu. Yeah, this is Jesse Eisenberg's movie. He wrote it and he's in it, and he directed it, and it's in Poland, so that's kind of cool. So this movie, yeah, is about these two guys. One is David, the other is Benji. David is Jesse Eisenberg, Benji is Kieran Culkin, and they go on a tour of Poland to honor their beloved grandmother, who set aside some money for them to be able to go and like learn about their heritage and learn about all this other shit. And yeah, so yeah, these different things kind of come up. It's just like it's a little dramedy kind of. There's funny parts in it, but there's also dramatic parts in it. For me, at least, like it's a little ironic kind of when you think about it, but you know, this movie made me think about like the nice memories that I have when it comes to having been able to study abroad. For maybe those who don't know, I did study abroad in Berlin, Germany for almost a month when I got out of college, or I was about to get out of college, because it was part of my study abroad requirement in my school. And so I spent 3 weeks in Berlin. It was really cool. And I think just getting to leave your own country of origin, like me as an American, getting to go to a place like Germany, is just really cool. And just getting to experience a different culture where, you know, yes, we all are a bunch of us are like Caucasian, for example, but like, you know, just being able to go somewhere that is not American, and being able to like, you know, go and I'm sure it's different, like if you are of a different race or something when you go to a different country and all that stuff. Like if I was to go to Asia or go to somewhere like Africa, it's going to be something different, obviously, or similar to Spain, you know, or whatever. But it's just really cool to like experience a different culture that is not your own, and getting to learn from that. And I thought that, you know, this movie really showcases like Poland in a really beautiful way. Again, I say it's ironic because I went to Germany, and obviously Germany was where like the Nazis were and all, and then all that was happening. And especially this movie touches on Holocaust stuff. But for me, it just reminded me of that. And yeah, it's just really, I don't know. It's cool. I know it's not something everybody can do, but I am always just of the opinion that it's really cool to go outside of your country and experience something for once, even if it's like, being able to go to like Europe or go to like the United Kingdom or whatever. Like, it's not that, it's only so different from America, but it is still different. For fuck's sake, even going to Canada is a little different. You know what I mean? Like, just getting to be able to go outside of where you normally are from, I think is just really, really good. And if you have the ability to do it, I'm just very big on wanting to try to do that. And I think both Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin do a good job at playing these characters. One who's like an anxious type, who, is just very much like kind of this type A person, but he's, I don't know, like there's a reason for that, I'm sure. And this other guy who maybe also is a little anxious, but he is more of a free spirit with hardly any sort of filter. But he is going through a hard time, which is Kieran's character. But yeah, I just thought this was a good little movie. I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I think Kieran is the favorite to win at the supporting actor category. And I wouldn't be mad if he did. Again, I wasn't a Succession girly or anything like that, but I thought he did a pretty decent job at this. And I don't remember who else is like nominated. I've been watching like the prediction videos of the Oscars for this year, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I liked A Real Pain personally, and I would recommend watching it. The next thing I watched was a Best Picture nominee of this year, and it was Conclave from 2024. This is with Ralph Fiennes, and then also like John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, Isabella Rossellini. This is about, the Pope has died, and this Cardinal Lewis, played by Ralph Fiennes. Is it Ray Fiennes or Ralph Fiennes? It's Ralph Fiennes. And they're tasked with managing this ritual of electing a new pope. I think that's what's called a conclave. And yeah, these cardinals are on the Vatican. And this process has to happen, and just shit kind of goes from there. This movie is like, I liked it personally. I gave it a 4 and a little heart. It's on Peacock. But I enjoyed myself with it. I think it was it's a really fascinating movie to watch. It's just cool to kind of see this, like, it's like a drama, but then it also just has these like parts that it's just like a bunch of like bitchy queens, like just like like gossiping about each other, kind of, sort of, like, I don't know, it was a good time for me personally. And just kind of the drama that goes into this sort of stuff, but there's nothing, I don't know. It's interesting to say the least, and I would check it out, like, for sure. I liked Conclave personally. The next thing I watched was I talked about how I got a movie subscription, okay, but I decided to watch The Substance from 2024. I did see this in theaters before, but I watched it at home this time. I liked it better on second watch even. I think Margaret Qualley is such a fucking star, dude. And of course Demi Moore is like amazing as well, but I mean, like, this movie is so fucking rad. This movie is about Demi Moore plays Elizabeth Sparkle, who's a fading celebrity who gets sacked from her job, and she decides to use this black market drug called The Substance, which creates a younger, better version of yourself. And shit goes left from there. And yeah, I think this movie is such a cool example of body horror. It also has this just like kind of satire on like what Hollywood is, and it's just so fucking in your face, which I would never expect anything less from Coralie Faderja, especially with like her movie Revenge, and this movie especially now. I'm just so interested to see what else she's gonna do, and yeah, I'm fucking into it. So yeah, that's what I watched with my movie subscription. So definitely. My mom even watched this, and she didn't dislike it, so that was cool. And I want my sister to watch it too. I even was like, hey, use my subscription to do this, and she needs to get around to it. But anyway, the next thing I watched was actually because I wanted to listen to Lady Killer's podcast about it. But I watched Bones and All from 2022. This kind of missed me back when it came out. This is a Luca Guadagnino movie, which he just did the movie Queer. He also did Call Me by Your Name and like the Suspiria remake from 2018. But yeah, this is about a lady named Marin, I believe, who's played by Terrell Russell. She is this girl is abandoned by her dad, and guess what? She is a cannibal, and she didn't realize she was a cannibal, but now she does. And she is going on this journey from actually Virginia, Maryland area to I think Missouri or something to go and try to find her like birth mother, apparently. And yeah, she meets up with this guy who's a little disenfranchised drifter, played by Timothy Chalamet. And well, just some, not hilarity ensues, but stuff ensues from there, man. Like, some shit goes down, and I liked this personally. I gave it a 3.5 and a heart. I pretty much said cannibalism, but make it a little gay and sexy, because Timothy Chalamet's character is at least somewhat queer, kind of, sort of. You'll see what I mean if you watch it. But yeah, I kind of liked this personally, and yeah, Chloe Sevigny's in this movie in like a kind of shocking role, and like, yeah, it was a good time. I think I liked it. And yeah, I did like it, and I think I would recommend it for somebody who wants to get a little fucking weird and watch a little bit of cannibalism. Why not? Like, that could be fun. The next thing I watched was my other Nicole Kidman movie I watched, because again, with the Lady Killers, they did an episode on this with their Killer Couples series that they did in February, because they did Bones and All, and then they also did this. But I watched To Die For from 1995. So this is a Nicole Kidman movie. These outfits she had on in here, just they had me in a chokehold. But anyway, for those who don't know, this is about this is a Gus Van Sant movie. Same guy who did like Good Will Hunting, but then he also did like My Own Private Idaho, the Psycho remake from 1998, things like that. Gus Van Sant, gay, art housey type guy. This is about a lady named Suzanne Stone, who's played by Nicole Kidman, and she wants to be a world famous news anchor, and she's willing to do anything to get what she wants. What she lacks in intelligence, she makes up for in cold determination and diabolical wits. And well, some shit gets in her way a little bit, and by that I mean Matt Dillon, who she gets married to. And some shit goes down, man. This movie is interesting because like it is kind of a precursor to what we know of like true crime now. This movie is shot in like a faux documentary sort of way, and it's just really fascinating to watch. Like, I would immediately own this. This is on Criterion right now, or it was on Criterion when I watched it, like streaming, but it is in the Criterion collection, so I might just have to pull up and buy that, honestly, on the next sale. There's another movie I'll talk about too, but like, yeah, but this movie is fucking rad. And this is a young Joaquin Phoenix, a young Casey Affleck, bleh. But yeah, like it was Matt Dillon, like I said, Nicole Kidman, of course, Ileana Douglas is here. It's a fucking time, man, and I really liked it personally. I thought this is based off of it's funny because like this and very much Todd Haynes with like May December, this would be a great double feature personally, because I'm just like, oh no, this is because like May December is Mary Kay Letourneau, very much coded, and then this is very much Pamela Smart, which kind of was the similar thing in the 90s before Mary Kay Letourneau. For those who don't know, Pamela Smart is this woman who was like a media consultant person who pretty much is Suzanne, and she volunteered at a high school back in the day, and like she ends up falling for this one student she met there, and then she pretty much asks him and his friends to like kill her husband for her, and that's pretty much what this movie is. But yeah, I thought it was really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, next thing I watched was actually, because I have talked about it before, I do want to do this, I just have to find the time to do it and actually watch a bunch of movies. But I watched a little film because I want to do a Sleepy Slashers episode. I think I even said I want to have Rocco on from the Lady Killers pod, and just horror journalist, because he kind of likes those movies as well. So we can kind of go through a bunch of them. But this is one of them. Was Terror at Tenkiller from 1986. So this movie, so this is about some ladies named Leslie and Jana. They go on a little vacation at a remote cabin in the woods in Oklahoma, by the way. Anyway, some shit goes down. There's this like crazy killer that's in the area, starts killing some people, and it's Terror 10 Killer. I will say I gave this a 2. I can't say I liked this movie. I will say I've never seen a horror movie that was set in Oklahoma, so that was kind of cool because 10 Killer is this place in Oklahoma, and they talk about like Native American, like indigenous stuff, like it's a whole thing. I kind of liked the use of Beautiful Dreamer as like a creepy killer song, because that was kind of the motif that was used throughout this in terms of that. But yeah, I can't say I recommend it necessarily, but I did not hate my watch. Well, no, I didn't outright hate it, but I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you need to like watch this a million times, But I think for Sleepy Slashers, like this is definitely one that I would definitely kind of say like, hey, check it out. Why not? And it's kind of cool to see these like regional horror films too, like these ones that are not just set in like, California, like Los Angeles, or like in, New York or whatever, these like flashy places when you can be somewhere that's a little bit more, country or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. Next thing I watched was also a part of that. I had actually started this and I needed to watch it. Like I need to start it over. But I watched Final Exam from 1981. So this is about a small college in North Carolina. These students are left to take their, midterms or whatever, and then a killer strikes. It could be everyone's final exam. And so, yeah, this is a little movie, again, regional horror, which is done in, I think, South Carolina or whatever, or North Carolina. Very much a sleepy slasher as well. And yeah, this is just really interesting. The character in this, what was his name? I think his name was Radish. He's very much like seen as kind of this template of like what Randy Meeks would end up being in Scream a little bit. But like, yeah, there's also a very infamous scene in this movie having to do with like shooting at a school at a college. That's a whole thing too. But yeah, so I watched this. I gave it a 2.5. So I enjoyed it a tiny bit more than Terror at 10 Killer, but not by much though. It was just a little boring for me. It kind of moved a little, slow, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's what I ended up watching as well. Final Exam. Next thing I watched was another one that was another film that I was meaning to watch because I wanted to watch some Hitchcock films. And I think I still need to. I think I've missed my opportunity to watch some of them on Criterion. I was going to watch Strangers on a Train and like Rear Window, but I didn't end up doing that. So I'll get around to those another time. But this one I decided to watch because it's the most gay of them all. And that is Alfred Hitchcock's Rope from 2014. Wow. From 1948. So this is a movie that is about these two young men, one played by Farley Granger and the other one played by John Dahl. We have these two men who pretty much commit this murder of a classmate of theirs, and then they have a dinner party afterwards and they hide the body in a chest. And well, it's just some shit from there, man. I gave this a 4. I did enjoy my watch of it. It definitely feels so much like a play, obviously, because it was a play, but I just really enjoyed this personally, just the undertones of it and just like the gayness of it all, the queerness of it all. And I enjoyed my watch of it, and I think it is something where if you have never watched anything other than Psycho, I would definitely say Rope is definitely worth a shot to watch. And yeah, and I definitely want to watch some of the other Hitchcock things for sure. Next thing I watched was I watched it on Canopy, I believe, and this is actually a horror anthology which was done by this person, Parker Brennan, who I actually follow on Letterboxd, and this is Hauntology from 2024. So this is a horror anthology, like I said, and it's this older sister who is taking her younger sister who's running away from home on a little road trip around their town to share these different stories that surround their hometown, pretty much. And for a first feature, similar to something like Bystanders, I think that Parker did a pretty decent job at making this little spooky movie. And yeah, they're a follower of my page, which is nice, and made my heart warm and fuzzy. But yeah, you have four shorts in this. You have I think in order it is Witchcraft Becomes Her, I believe it is The Day Mabel Came Out of the Grave, Paint and Black Lace, and then The Old Dark Cashel House. This movie also has Nancy Loomis in it in the last story, who is Annie from the Halloween 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween. And so that's kind of cool. It also has Zoe Luna in it, who is, if anybody watched The Craft Legacy, she is the trans girl in there. She also plays a trans girl in this as well, as trans lady. Yeah. I will say I'm not spoiling it, but like at the last, in the Old Dark Cashel House, there is a line from Death Becomes Her in it, which I thought was kind of fun, and you'll know if you know. Clever. But yeah, my ranking of this, because it is a anthology, of course. I will say it is Paint and Black Lace, which is very much like Blood and Black Lace, kind of, sort of. It's about somebody killing people giallo style, and they use paint a little bit to kind of signify their crime a little bit. They're killing for some reason. It might have a ghostly reason. Also, the person who, I don't remember her name, Samantha, I don't remember it, sorry, but the person from the Love Witch, the titular Love Witch, Samantha Robinson, that's who it is. She's in this little short as well, which is kind of cool. The Old Dark Cashel House, I think I liked second. That's the one with Nancy Loomis in it, and it is the last section. It also ties back to our kind of big story, which is interesting. We then have Witchcraft Becomes Her, which is the one with Zoe Luna in it. I thought that was kind of cool. I liked that one. It's about a person who is, it's about somebody who, it was kind of androgynous a little bit before. I don't know if they were like a full-on like man necessarily, but anyway, this person uses witchcraft to kind of transition, really, honestly. And so that was kind of cool. And yeah, the Old Dark Cashel House, I think, is just about like this weird house in the neighborhood, and shit goes left from there. And then the fourth one is The Day Mabel Came Out of the Grave. That I just don't remember as much personally, and I mean, I couldn't even tell you what happens in that. At least the other three, I'm like, oh yeah. But the one with Mabel is like this person. She's like kind of this figure from history in the town. She was like an undercurrent lover lesbian too, and she got killed for it, and now she's coming back to, I don't know, kick someone's ass. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I think about it. But Hauntology was kind of good, and it's on Canopy, so if you have your library card, you can check it out. I thought it was a perfectly decent first feature, especially for somebody who literally has never done that before. I always try to look at it and not completely just say I hate everything about it, unless I literally do hate everything about it, like The Forest Hills. But anyway, next thing I watched was Exuma from 2024. This is a South Korean movie. And yeah, it's about these people. So it's after tracing the origin of a disturbing supernatural affliction to a wealthy family's ancestral gravesite, a team of paranormal experts relocate the remains and soon discover what happens to those who dare to mess with the wrong graves. I watched this because the Dead Meat podcast was doing an episode on this, so I thought, why not pull up on it? And I thought it was pretty good. I gave it a 3.5, and I enjoyed my time with it. It definitely turns into like a different kind of movie in the second half, but I didn't really mind that. I think if you're at all interested in Asian cinema or Asian horror in particular, I would check this out. And if you have any sort of like history or knowledge of kind of Korean Japanese like relations during the time of like the war and stuff, I think you would, or just in general, I guess, I would definitely check it out. I thought it was a pretty So it was a pretty good time personally. But yeah, that was what I watched. Exuma. It was on Shudder, so I decided to watch that. Next thing I watched was because I just did an episode on it. It was the episode to close out February with. And this movie is Snow Day from 2000. This is about a whole town in upstate New York that has a snow day, and these different people are having different experiences. So you have Natalie, who's trying to ensure that they get a second snow day by going up against the snowplow man, and then you have her big brother Hal, who is trying to use the day to win the affections of a girl named Claire. And even though his best friend Lane is there alongside with him. I already mentioned this in the episode, so if you want to go listen to it, but this movie was written as a movie that takes place in the Adventures of Pete and Pete universe, and unfortunately that idea sat too long. The show was already canceled by the time that they even had a movie division of Nickelodeon, and the actors also grew out of the characters as well. They had grown up. So Paramount and Nickelodeon Movies decided to try their hand at making this movie after having some moderate success with like Harriet the Spy, which we'll get to that in a minute, and then of course also the Rugrats movie, which I have previous episodes on both of these on. But that was one of the first movies that was a non-Disney movie to make $100 million. One of the first animated movies, if not the first animated, like, non-Disney feature to do that, which is crazy. Anyway, this movie didn't really hit for me, though. I don't know if it ever really did for me personally. There maybe is some fun nostalgia to be had with those who grew up with this movie. However, I feel like this movie it feels just lifeless to me. It just feels less charming than what The Adventures of Pete and Pete kind of were. Because I thought that had a certain level of just like quirky charm to it. I did like seeing someone like Skylar Fisk getting work. She doesn't really act anymore, but she does come from like Sissy Spacek's her goddamn mom, so like of course she could be a nepo baby, I guess, but I also thought she was perfectly good in this, and like the Babysitters Club and stuff, and even Orange County as well, and also like Catherine Isabel getting work too. She plays a friend of Claire's in this. Yeah, it has a nice soundtrack though, I will say that, but I just didn't really care for this a whole lot. And then as a follow-up, I also watched the Paramount Plus original musical remake as well. You can listen to more about that on the episode if you want to. I didn't fucking like this movie. I thought it was stupid. And I didn't really see the point and need for it. I watched it in like 1.5 or 2.5 speed, honestly. And I just didn't really care a whole lot about it. So that was my opinion personally. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of Snow Day. Why did I do an episode on it? Because I thought it'd be fun, and it made sense for frosty February, but I was not into it personally. Then the next thing I watched was another screener I got. This was a movie called Godless from I think like last year, I think, or something, 2024 maybe. This is about a Catholic governor played by Anna Ortiz. They are signing a progressive bill into law. I think it's about late term abortion, I believe, but she had also signed in like something about same-sex marriage before, and she is excommunicated by the Catholic Church, quote unquote. She's like excommunicated because of her progressive beliefs and stuff like that. And the movie is kind of reckoning with all of that. It's Anna Ortiz as this character, and then Harry Lennox as this bishop that is helping to excommunicate her. This was a perfectly fine movie. I gave it a 3. And I thought Anna Ortiz, who I actually had been watching I didn't finish the series, but I'll probably get around to it. I was watching the second season of Goosebumps on Disney Plus, and I thought she was really good. I thought she was a pretty good part of that, being one of the adults in it. So seeing her in this movie was also great. She's sort of like from Ugly Betty and like Love, Victor and stuff like that. She plays the mom, I think, to Victor, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't watch that show, so I just know that she's in it. But yeah, I wasn't too invested in the premise of this, though, because I don't have Catholic trauma. I don't really have religious trauma like that. But maybe for some people who have had these crises of faith, or, just can maybe connect with this a little bit more, maybe they would like it more. But yeah, I think if maybe you're interested in that kind of a thing, it's not the same as Conclave or anything like that, but, check it out if you want to. And I'm not gonna dissuade you from watching it, but just know that, like, you just have to pull up on it and see what you think about it, I guess, right? The next thing I watched was one of the other movies that I'm gonna get from the Criterion Collection when the sale goes around. This is Mildred Pierce from 1945. This is a Joan Crawford movie. For those who may not know what it is, it's based off of a book. This is about a hardworking mother played by Joan Crawford, and she inches towards disaster as she divorces her husband, and she starts a successful restaurant business to spoil her supported daughter Veda, played by, I think, Anne Blythe. And this movie was a turn, bitch. I gave it a 5, and I just was like, what a twist. And yeah, no, this movie fucking rocked. I now want to watch the miniseries of this, which has Kate Winslet in it playing Mildred, which I think is a little bit more, it's a little bit more to the book. Like, it follows the book a little bit more, which I have not read the book, but yeah, no, I really liked Mildred Pierce personally. And it makes sense to me that this one, I think, Joan Crawford an Academy Award. This might have been a Best Picture winner. I don't remember, or at least was nominated. But yeah, I really liked this movie personally. So yeah, I will be picking that up. I will also be picking up To Die For probably. I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that. Yeah, that was what I watched. The next thing I watched was from 1985, and it was because one Miss Demi Moore is about to maybe win an Oscar, and I decided to watch this. It is St. Elmo's Fire from 1985 from Joel Schumacher. Yeah, this is about these friends of they just graduated from college at Georgetown University, and they just talk about, like, well, it's just their lives. So you have Kirby, his roommate Kevin. So Kirby, I think, is, I don't remember who he's played by. I don't remember who any of these people are played by, but they're all like Brat Packy people. Jules, I know, is Demi Moore, and Wendy is Mare Winningham. Billy is Rob Lowe, I believe, and then Kevin is Andrew McCarthy, and then Judd Nelson, I think, is Kirby, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Or no, sorry, Alec, sorry. That's Judd Nelson. Who is Kirby then? Oh my God, wait a minute. I gotta look this up now. Emilio Estevez, that's who it is. I was like, oh, okay. And then Ali Sheedy's here as Leslie. It's a whole thing, dude. This movie, okay, listen. I watched this because This Ends at Prom did an episode on it. Also because Demi Moore is, nominated for an Oscar right now. That's a pretty big deal. And for me, I gave this a 2.5 personally. I just say the things I do for Andie MacDowell and Demi Moore, literally, because I just didn't really love this movie. I don't think it's the worst film in terms of, like, I can't say it's the worst movie necessarily for, like, this type of story, I guess, but I'm just not the hugest on it necessarily. I could kind of take it or leave it, honestly. Like, even my sister was, like I said, purging her stuff, like her movie collection, and she has St. Elmo's Fire, and I was just like, no, absolutely not. I'm not owning this movie. But yeah, so I didn't love it. I rented it. It was whatever. You can probably take it or leave it. I would probably watch The Lost Boys again before I'd watch this again, in my opinion. That's just me, though. Next thing I watched was it's another Yorgos Lanthimos movie I've watched, because I wanted to watch Kinds of Kindness this month, but I didn't get around to it, so I'll watch it probably next month. But I watched Poor Things from 2023. This is Emma Stone's second Oscar win for this movie. This is about a young lady by the name of Bella Baxter. That's her name. And she runs off with a lawyer played by I think Mark Ruffalo, and they go on a whirlwind adventure across the continents. She is growing to stand for equality and liberation. This is Yorgos Lanthimos. He's being a fucking weirdo. All I said was, besties, I want to be Bella Baxter when I grow up. Because I really liked this movie personally. I gave it a 4.5, a little heart. I thought, whenever you get Willem Dafoe in a movie, it gets a little fucking weird, and I'm always into that. I thought Emma Stone did a really good job in this movie too. I mean, yes, there is a lot of like sex going on and some, nakedness of hers and all this shit. But personally, I don't really care. I just thought this was a really cool movie. It had such a distinct style to it and just a really cool, like, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it personally, and I enjoyed, watching it. And I mean, right now it's kind of probably the favorite Yorgos movie personally. That's just my opinion, I guess. Next thing I watched, we're closing in on the end. I decided, because I did find out right before I did the Snow Day episode, I did find out it was reported that Michelle Trachtenberg has passed away at the age of 39, which was so super sad. And so I decided, even though you can watch Harriet the Spy on Pluto, and I unfortunately don't own that on physical media, but I did decide to pull up on another movie that people know her for, and it's a Disney movie. I watched Ice Princess from 2005. This is about Casey, who is kind of this science physics nerd. She is interested in figure skating, and well, she does a whole project about it, and she decides to become a figure skater herself. So with the help of her coach, played by Kim Cattrall, her mom, played by Joan Cusack, who her mom is a little antagonistic towards her dream in wanting to be a figure skater, and then a boy who drives the Zamboni, who is also Kim Cattrall's son in this. Nothing can stop Casey Carlisle from realizing her dream to be a champion figure skater. And yeah, I like this movie personally. It's not gonna be for everybody, but I gave it a 3.5 and a little heart. I enjoyed this. I just said rest in power, Casey, and I think it's for somebody like me who grew up with Michelle Trachtenberg, watching her on television and watching her in projects. I just think this was such a good little film to watch in her memory, and so there's that. And the next thing I watched was the final thing I watched this month, and I just finished it last night, I think, and that was Tootsie from 1982, I believe. This is about Dustin Hoffman, who plays Michael Dorsey. He is this actor in New York City who is completely kind of washed up in a way. He teaches acting, but he also can't really get a job to save his life in acting because he's a terror to be around, I guess. So what does he do? He decides to dress up in drags and be Dorothy Michaels, and he gets a job on a little soap opera where he gets like to be, kind of the breakout role in it in a way. And he also, becomes closer with like one of his co-stars, played by Jessica Lange, in an Oscar-winning performance. You then also have him like having a little side thing with like Terry Garr's character, who's one of his kind of acting students, sort of. And you also have like Bill Murray in here playing his roommate. It's a whole thing. I gave it a 3. I don't think I would own this movie or anything, but I had never seen it before, so I was kind of like, all right, why not watch it. And I can't say I disliked it. I think it feels a little dated personally because it is 1982, but I see what they were going for with it. And to be honest, I didn't completely dislike Dustin Hoffman in this movie. I'm iffy about him anyway. Obviously, I loved him in Midnight Cowboy, and maybe there's another role that I'll really like of his. I didn't dislike him as Michael in this movie, but not totally, even though he is supposed to be kind of unlikable. But I liked him as Dorothy, though. I'm not gonna lie, but I understand people's qualms of this movie, and I completely can understand it. But I'm also like, I didn't dislike my time watching it necessarily, though. So yeah, and with all of that, that is what I watched in the month of February. So I got quite a bit in, actually, which was kind of nice, and I'll continue the trend, I guess. I did just release what I'm going to be doing for the month of March, which I have not recorded any of those episodes yet, so that'll be super fun to get around to doing all those. That is It Follows. I have Final Destination. What was the other one? I think it's Devs is the end of the month, and then the fourth one is I can't even remember now. Oh my gosh. I just did these. I think that was Tank Girl. That's what it was, 1995. So I'll be doing those, which will be kind of hopefully a fun time to watch those and cover them on the show. Why not? But yeah. And I don't know what else I'm like I said, I'm going to try and I'm going to see what else there is to watch like this month in terms of, what I can kind of get my hands on and stuff. Of course, I'm going to watch those 4 movies I just said. And then I'm going to see what else there is kind of popping up. I know Heretic's coming out on Max, so I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch Wicked probably because that's coming out on Peacock. Ooh, I got some things I'm going to watch. Oh, that's going to be fun. But anyway, but yeah, I hope everybody, I hope you had as decent of a February as you could. I know the world is kind of shaking and moving right now, and there's a lot going on. But again, I just want to like try to stay the course. I want to stay positive. I just want to do what I can to, even though I had a whole thing in this episode where I talk about a movie I fucking hated and a whole interaction I had, but whatever, it is what it is. But with all that being said though, I mean, I'm staying the course. I'm trying to keep positive. I'm trying to just like, keep this up and keep it moving, and that's all I can do, right? Like, and if you listen to these, great. I'm very happy that you do. And yeah, but let me know, what did you watch in February? What are you planning on watching in March? Let me know if you want me to know. Are you going to the theater for anything fun? Like, I don't know if I'm going to the theater for anything fun, but like what, just let me know, you of course can follow the show on Instagram and Blue Sky at Cult Cinema Circle. You can look me up on there. I'll be there. You can follow me on Letterboxd if you want to. Email me at cultcinemacircle@gmail.com. Leave me 5 stars and a 1 to 2 sentence review on your podcatcher of choice, wherever you get your podcasts like that. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.